Second case the court will be hearing today is Berk v. Choy. And this is a case about the Erie Doctrine. And it's one of those cases we all study in law school, and it comes from a 1938 case called Erie Railroad v. Tompkins. I'm going to give you guys the very short version. This case was what's called a diversity jurisdiction case. That means the plaintiff was allowed to bring the case in federal court instead of state court because he was suing a citizen of a different state. Diversity. But we don't like people forum shopping, picking where they want to go sue people to get the best outcome. And one of the ways that we try to prevent forum shopping is by saying, okay, you can bring this in federal court instead of state court, but that federal court is still going to apply the laws of your state. So whether you brought this in Delaware state court or Delaware federal court, we're still going to apply Delaware law. Except, of course, we're not. That would be way too easy, right? Because the federal courts have the federal rules of civil procedure for a reason, and they have to follow those. So basically, if you bring a state law case in federal court, we're going to apply state laws for any substantive questions, but we're going to use federal law for procedure. But it's probably not a huge surprise that somewhere in the middle, what's procedural and what's substantive get a little cloudy. And the Erie Doctrine is this incredibly complicated flowchart that tells us how to figure that out. Berk v. Choy is a case where they just couldn't decide. So real quick, in Delaware, to prevent frivolous lawsuits against doctors, you have to get an expert witness to sign off on your claim and let the court know it's a real claim, basically. So is that procedural, saying that you have to file an extra form, or is it substantive? I mean, this is a real law with a policy behind it. They were probably trying to cut down on how much doctors were paying for malpractice insurance or something, and it may require a dive into negligence law and medicine and all sorts of substantive local issues. So which is it, procedural or substantive? Well, the district court and the Court of Appeals dismissed the case because the plaintiff didn't get his case certified, and they said this was substantive law, should have followed the state law. The plaintiff says the federal rules of civil procedure have their own rules, like Rule 8, that require you to explain how this is a real claim, and those rules filter out frivolous lawsuits just like the Delaware law. And if there's a federal rule of procedure that basically does the same thing as this Delaware medical expert witness rule, then it must be a rule of procedure. So according to the Erie Doctrine, the plaintiff says the federal rules must apply.